Hello and welcome once again to WKNI TV's Good News Covington County, and now I'm in the right chair. Mike walked in and did a double take like this, and like what was going on, but I was sitting over there. Man, that is a tough seat to sit in.
No, it's not that bad. I'm used to it now.
Yeah, I'm not though. I'm used to sitting over here, and you never know what this guy's going to say.
True.
And Bob was over here, and
I don't think the chair determines that, though. I think sometimes the person sitting in the chair. So.
Mike Jones, our representative, welcome to WKNI
Yes,
TV. We thank you for coming on. Lots happening up there. First off, congratulations on your victory.
Thank you.
I mean, you know, when somebody don't run against you, that says something.
Well, it's humbling, to say the least. But I can't say enough how happy I am to serve the people of this district, and I always have been, and I've made a point of making that clear all the way through it. And you know, one of the things I've never done is stop campaigning. I'm one of those that from the Trippy McGuire camp.
That's right. You keep on running.
You just keep on running. But and the reason is that people want to see the people who represent them.
That's right.
And so I make a point of trying to be seen all across the district as frequently as possible. And even when we're in session, I try to get down here as much as possible and attend events and attend functions. And so every time we get a notice on something, we put it on our calendar. And if I can possibly, be present, I am. And that's just a better way of doing the job. I think it's the right way to do the job.
Well, Mike, one of the other things too that we're just talking about in the last segment with Bob is you keep it real.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's our saying here: keep it real, keep God in it. Well, not only do you keep God in it, but you keep it real.
Correct.
And there's not even a question about where you stand on anything. I mean, I can't get in here and say, oh, you wishy-washy. You're not wishy-washy. You and I agree and disagree on things, but you're very level-headed. But one thing you do, and I think this is why you don't have any opposition, okay, is that you're committed to your job.
Yes, sir.
All right, and you're a committed family man. You're a committed lawyer here, a successful practice in a number of years, and you're a committed representative for our community, and we thank you for that.
I appreciate that. I mean, I always believe if you're going to do something, do it 100%. And
and you're a committed judge too, and he does commit people.
Well, once again, I mean, I believe in doing the job, and if I accept a responsibility, I believe in carrying it out. And I was raised that way. I mean, I can't change how I was raised.
Your mom and dad, your mom.
Hey, I give them both equal credit. I know better.
I'm picking on your dad. Great family, and again, you come from that background or upbringing of it wasn't given to you.
Correct.
Okay, and that is so important. Somebody, I'm not taking away from the people that have it and born into it, but you have earned every step of the way. Your mom and dad earned every step of the way, and it's in your family that way. So that builds what? Character.
Well, we were taught that if you want something, bad enough, you got to be willing to work for it, and that's how we were raised. I heard that said to me when I was just probably a toddler, all the way through. And so I've never been somebody that shied away from work. I work long hours. I do it when we're in session, and everybody knows it. And that's just who I am. It's not easy for me to change who I am. So,
can I make a prediction?
I'm sure I'm going to get one. So let's hear it.
He knows me, folks. I predict within the next 4 to 6 years that you're going to be Speaker of the House. I'm throwing it out there. That House, and I've talked to other representatives that have worked with you, and you're very admired up there. And this was your first term, and people are looking at you seriously, and they're like, "No, this guy is real." And the last Speaker of the House we had from here was Seth Hammond, and boy, he was there how many years? I think he was there at the resurrection. But but Seth done a wonderful job for this community a number of years, and then I predict that, and I do, and because there's not a lot of real people in politics, and you happen to be there. So,
well, I appreciate it. I do a job, and I've always try to be consistent on everything I do, and including with my fellow representatives. And I think everybody up there knows that I don't ever vote on a bill without reading the bill and knowing what it's about.
Even if it's that thick.
I do, unfortunately. But because of that, over time, I think some of the members have come to look to me for my thought on different things.
You're well respected, very well respected.
But I don't, my goal has never been anything more than to represent District 92, but to do it as well as I possibly can. And I've set certain goals for myself as far as how to do the job, and which have included reading the bills, which has included being prepared when I go to session daily, which has included that if I have to stay up late and get up early, that's part of the job. So to do the job, I make those commitments and I follow through.
All right. Well, you've got time constraints today, so we're going to honor that. So we're going to kind of get right down to the mix.
Sure.
And I just want to tell you we appreciate you.
Yes,
sir.
And
Miss Sue over there, my buddy, she's a sweetheart, and she had you on time, you didn't. So.
Well, it's my fault. I take
out of all these years, this is the first time you've done that, but that's okay. Anyway, I see you got some bills that we're talking about briefly before camera. The teacher bill passed.
Correct.
Share us with me.
Well, I mean, it started, almost a year ago as far as the process. It was an idea I had at the end of the last session, and it was based on some issues that were in play in the last session. And I researched the issues extensively, not just in this state, but nationally. And at some point back in the fall of 2013, the Republican caucus for the House decided they wanted to make it a part of the platform. But the bill basically does this. We have in our Constitution some language that talks about immunity for state employees, but it doesn't really lay out enough detail. And so over time, our court system has come up with what they think should be the immunity given to certain state employees, including education employees. But we were one of 5 states in the nation who had never codified it, put it in our state code. The reason why that's a big deal is that when judges are the source of your law, then every time a change in a judge takes place, your law can change. And that's what's happened to us over the years. But when you put it into the state code, it has foundation. It's more solid, and it's not as easy or quick to change it over time, which makes it more reliable, I guess is the word. So we put together a bill early in the fall of last year, and I pre-filed it months ahead of time just to let everybody see it ahead of time. After we got a lot of feedback from different groups, we filed a second bill that included that feedback, and then that's the bill that we actually substituted some language in it right before the session began, and then that's how we pushed the bill through. And I was very happy to see that it went through relatively quickly, and that was my goal, was to push hard on the front end. I knew that towards the tail end of this session it might get a little crazy, so I was hoping to get it through early. And out of the platform for our caucus, it was the first bill to pass all the way through. So it's on the governor's desk, and I do expect that he'll be signing.
I bet he will. And
it's good for it's good for our teachers, not just our teachers, but also our cafeteria workers, our bus drivers, for
anybody in the school system.
Correct. And the whole point is, if they're doing their job and they're doing it right, then they shouldn't be worried or stressed or threatened. They should have some safety and some.
There's a lot of frivolous lawsuits
correct.
Out there, and I don't want to say it because you're a lawyer, but there's a lot of lawyers out there that love taking these frivolous lawsuits. And bringing them.
A lot of them, they make a settlement at the front end, and there's really nothing else that occurs. But that costs money. It costs money to the school system. It costs money to our classrooms, because money we would have paid for our classrooms goes to insurance.
Right.
And so both for the teachers having to pay it, but also for the school systems. And so this should show a reduction in that relatively quickly. And that's our goal.
That's a good thing. Well, the other good thing that I'm hearing came out, and it excites me because not many states, we were talking about earlier about God and things, and God's actually being put back in the schools in a degree, and the 10 Commandments we're looking at putting it in public places again, and
Well, and these bills, some of the media, especially the liberal media, has really tried to jump on these bills pretty hard. What it showed me pretty quickly is that the liberal media never read the bills. The bills are not mandates. The bills make it where it's possible. They may do it. It doesn't say shall, it says may. And the sponsors were very careful to try to look at existing Supreme Court law and to try to make sure as well as we could keep these bills within that scope. And so what it does is it opens the door, and that's what we're looking for, is to say, the door that we base our morals and our beliefs and our Christianity, that door should be open for people to walk in, just like we express our, when you give your testimony, you're trying to open a door for somebody to walk in to a faith and to a relationship. You're not trying to push them in, you're trying to open the door. And basically
give
the
them
same
the
concept.
opportunity.
That's right. Same type of concept with these bills. It's not a mandate.
Right.
And I think that because of that, it'll survive some scrutiny and some challenge.
Well, I still, and you know how I feel about this, but this country was founded on God.
Sure.
And it was a separation of the Church in England to here, and it was based on that. The Constitution was based on it. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but it didn't have anything about Muslim or any other belief in there. It had God, Christianity, and that's where this country needs to stand. And I don't like to use the words liberal and conservatives and things like that, because that labels people. But we have people that don't read the entire thing, and they don't keep it real, and they get off on a tangent, and things just turn bad for this country.
Well, and our country has made some shifts, and we have shifted to I would describe as a more liberal path, a path with far more challenges as far as foundations. And so I would say, there are some bills out there that are going to challenge some of those paths that have been taken nationally. But now our state has always been a part of the Bible Belt. We've always been a part of a Christian foundation. That's not a hidden agenda. That's just who we are. So it's kind of like these bills we have tomorrow.
You got a big tough one coming up.
We have 4 bills tomorrow that'll lead off on our floor. All 4 bills deal with pro-life. And most of these bills, frankly, should survive a review and judicial scrutiny very easily. But the goal is, and the obvious thing is first and foremost, is to protect children and protect life in general. And the bill that I'm taking up, and I've got one of the 4 bills, is it's really a parental consent bill, and it's about these children that are having children that are under age 18. It's about making sure that the people who claim to be their parents are their parents. Right. The existing law right now doesn't actually require anybody to show that they are a parent. It just says they sign a form saying they're the parent. And the unfortunate thing is that, and this is the type of scenario you're talking about, is your 40-year-old boyfriend, he takes his 14-year-old girlfriend to have an abortion, and signs off saying the parent.
That's crazy. I mean,
but the forms right now don't require anything more than that.
Wow.
And that is the existing law. So this bill that I've sponsored would do is it would change that to where it would require a birth certificate, which is, if you're a parent in this state, I give a birth certificate for my children to play soccer, to be softball. I mean, it is not a sport or activity that our children participate in.
How's that new ID card going to play in this?
The ID cards come in because not only do you show the birth certificate to show that there's a parent relationship, you also have to show that you are the parent.
The new ID card, though, with the
star on it?
The star.
That's a whole different issue.
I know, but I'm just wondering if it would play into this, because
it's not as that
it'll have your blood type on it, it'll have your eye color,
right.
It'll have your last time you saw the dentist on it.
Well, I don't know about all that. But that issue's not really related to this as much.
I know.
But this is a big deal, and it's important because there were those in the public hearings that said this was nothing more than a hardship on the minor mothers that were requesting the abortion. And my response is, well, I don't think our state wants to be in the business of furthering a crime. And they were like, what are you talking about? I said, well, once again, I mean, a 40-year-old boyfriend and a 14-year-old girlfriend, that's a Class B
statutory
felony in
Yeah.
this state. And do we as a state want to be in the business of allowing that to occur? Not only allow it to occur, but to be, a party to the destruction of evidence. And they were like, what do you mean? The unborn baby. And
Wow.
and they had not considered that as part of the conversation. I said, well, I mean, once again, you're looking at it from one focus point. I'm trying to look at it from all sides. And for me, it's about not only protecting the unborn child, but also protecting that young minor
That's
mother.
right.
And so for me, I take it from all points and look at it, and I look at it very seriously. The bill that I'm sponsoring is it's probably the most complicated out of the bunch. It was one that, and I'm not opposed. I don't have any opposition. Most of these types of bills and all these type of bills that generate a lot of media typically go to members who have opposition that need to have some exposure. I don't have that. This is a bill that I was asked whether or not I would be interested in sponsoring it, and because it was complex, and I said I would be honored to.
Well, I'm for it because I had no idea that a 40-year-old anybody, I mean, I could go sign it for somebody.
Correct.
And that's not right.
Well, it's not, but that's the law, and it was written that way probably when it first was drafted years and years ago, because the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, has been so
wishy-washy.
Yes.
I'll say it. The wishy-washy.
You know,
They've really, and I'm using the word, turned liberal.
Well, they've tried
have.
to interpret things in such a way that, I mean, personally, I don't think that our founding fathers ever intended to be interpreted that way. But they've not only tried to interpret it in some unique ways, they've then taken it out even further. And so, we have had some cases that have happened since Roe v. Wade that have given more light to some of these issues. And you know me well enough to know I do my homework, so I've researched a number of these cases and read them, and that's one reason this bill has what's called a committee substitute, is from the point that I first drafted it, a week later I'd read a number more cases, and I saw some areas we could improve on. So we prepared a substitute and improved on it, and the committee accepted it.
Well, I'll tell you, I have no idea of what you have to go through. We were supposed to be up there, what was it, the 28th or something last month, and it was ice on the ground.
Correct.
And there was no way of getting up there, but we're going to make it up there this session what do they call it, shadow you or?
Right, and the security, by the way, told me that just give them an advance notice. They're expecting.
I talked to him. I got his direct phone number.
Right, they're expecting you at some point. So.
But you guys do an awesome job up there, Mike. You hear about all the I don't know what you call it, pork, I guess it is. It's thrown into bills. Mm-hmm. You're not a pork person.
No.
Okay, you're a steak person. And is that frustrating when you see bills that you see something really good, and then you go down and flip the page over, and then it has on there, and we're going to fund the fixing of the bridge in so-and-so's, district? And
I would say this, it doesn't happen near as frequently as it probably historically used to, for multiple reasons, one of which is we don't have as much money, and so money is much more tight than it has been historically. There are still occasions when you see things like that, and I have actually voted against budgets in the past for that very reason, and it upset a lot of people that I voted against the budget. But you know me, and people here know me well enough to know that if I say something, I'm going to follow through with it. And when I see things that to me are not reflective of what we should stand for as conservatives, then I'll vote against it, and I have done that. It doesn't make me always probably the most popular person, but there's not a person around that's in that building that doesn't understand my reasoning, because I'm very expressive of it. All that being said, I can say that the general fund budget that I've seen that we've already passed off our floor, I did support it. I did not see any what I would call flagrant issues like that. I'm not on those committees, so many things that might have been discussed in committee before they got to our floor, I would not have been able to hear or see. But I did read the bill before I voted on it, as always. It's lengthy. It's about a 100-page bill. And I looked at the spreadsheets and had people here look at them on my behalf as well, as I do every year. And now as it was leaving our floor, I did find one thing that I thought we might could improve. And I went straight to the Senate and spoke with the Senate chairman and showed him the information I discovered, and he had not seen it either. So he's going to look at it on his floor and see if we can help resolve those issues.
You're not in opposition, and you can pretty much have a free plate to go to without worrying about it for 4 more years now. But you were real strong and instrumental in a lot of the work over the past 4 years to clean up the financing of campaigns. But yet, I know, and a lot of folks out there are seeing it, large PACs are still jumping in. Do you see an end to PAC money down the road?
I don't think you'll ever see an end to PACs because of what they are. They're political action committees.
Right.
They represent groups of people or groups of different interest. So I don't think by nature of us having the type of government we have, we'll ever get rid of them. The issue is the openness, whether or not you have the ability to have as much transparency as possible. And historically, PACs were used to try to hide funding. Mm-hmm. We've made an effort, a very concerted effort, to try to make that as transparent as we can. There are some gaps that have been created, not by design, but unintended gaps. And that's where we now have it where corporations can contribute openly, whereas it used to be limited to $500 per campaign.
When you say openly, what are we talking about?
Used to, they were limited to $500.
Right.
And so now they can contribute unknown. I mean, it can be as much as they want.
Okay, because now that's where I come into now and ask you this question, because that's where I wanted to go. Mm-hmm. There's a group called the AEA, okay, that has taken huge advantage of this in many ways, I think. Have you seen that?
Well, they do most of theirs through their PAC, and most of the contributions that I'm aware of have gone through their PAC. Now, they may have some other entities that I'm not aware of, because that's possible.
Right.
There are other groups that have, and what it is, there's several different types of corporations that can be set up, and that, in my opinion, they act and look and sound just like a PAC, but they're organized as corporations. That's probably an area that we're going to have to look at more closely.
That's where I was headed.
Yeah, and I see that coming. I know it's been discussed in the hallways, and I don't think there's any question that that's going to have to be addressed at some point. As far as timing, there's no way it'll happen this session. It's just not enough time. We're coming up on the last third of our session, and completing these budgets has to be prioritized above everything else. So, and I see that being the case. So I don't see it occurring this session. Now, next session, I think you might be seeing some of those type of bills.
Well, it also won't be an election year.
It won't be, but there's only so much you can do. I mean, we try to do as much as we can every year.
Well, you see a lot of stuff get thrown up because it's an election year.
Correct. Tons.
Right. And it clutters the desk, as they say.
It does, but I will give our leadership some credit on this. We have reduced the number of bills that are coming to our floor by half, which means we're clearly not going to be passing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bills like we've done in past years. And I think that's healthy. I don't think we should be up there passing mass numbers of anything. I think that when that happens, you tend not to vet them as well. Therefore, you tend to have more unintended consequences. I would much rather us pass a good bill that's been well vetted, that does what it's intended and nothing more, than for us to be passing just loads of things that we really don't know the extent of what will occur, and we're just going to wait and see. To me, that's just not good policy. It's not good government.
Anything else you want to cover?
I've got a number of bills that I'm working on, some for different commissions and associations to clean up the law in their areas. And those are bills that are quite boring as far as what they talk about, but those are necessary fixes and cleanups. And I've got a couple of bills that I'm working on that are just that. They're fixed bills where we've seen mistakes and things that occurred in the past. That I'm bad about reading appellate cases and learning from the courts the mistakes. And then as soon as I see those, we try to find a way to clean them up. So a couple of bills that I've got that I think will pass deal with things like that, cleaning up mistakes from the past. You know, the other thing that I think one of the state newspapers is it's going to be talking with me tomorrow about it, is I still try to work every year finding out these old archaic laws that make no sense, that cost us money and cost us businesses, cost us jobs. I try to find those anytime I can. And I usually, I don't mind bringing them because I brought one and passed it in the past, but I try to hand those to other House members because one person doesn't need to do everything. We need to distribute the work. And I'm thankful to say that several of my friends in the House are working on those very same bills, and they are carrying them forward. And so we're hopefully going to be taking some laws off the books this year to help clean
it
some
up.
stuff up. That's it.
House cleaning. Well, Mike, we certainly appreciate you coming on. We certainly appreciate Miss Sue over there, and your family, your wonderful, beautiful wife, and your children. Those girls, you're just totally awesome. They're grown, man.
Yeah. My oldest is about to turn 16, so there's a little
wow.
bit of
Driving yet?
she's been driving me around a good bit lately, but she'll be working for that driver's license here in a few weeks. So
there you go. Well, bless her heart. But Mike, always appreciate you coming on. Thank you for taking the time. And anything we can do for you here at WKNI, we're here for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
God bless you.
Thanks, sir.
Folks, Mike Jones, Jr., District 92, I don't know where I was going, but District 92, he has taken his second seat unopposed, or second term unopposed this time, and rightfully so. And we're certainly looking forward for the next 4 years with Mike Jones, Jr. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, keep it real. Keep God in it. God bless you. We love y'all. We'll see you later on.